timing. Welcome everybody to our May 21st Continuum of Care meeting. Did anybody notice kind of a change in the weather? It's a little warm out there. I hope everybody's staying hydrated, and I know you all have more work than the hours provide in the day. And before we dive into the meeting, I just want to tell you all how much I appreciate the amazing things that you're doing across this county. I always tell you this is one of my favorite days of the month to be able to spend time with you guys and us work together to strengthen our whole system. So you saw in the chat, for those that are voting members, remember only voting members, you'll see Zuli pasted in the roster. So you want to make sure if you're a voting member to fill that out, because we do have to take action on some things. We need to have a quorum. And Gershon, since you'll be driving, or actually whoever is keeping track, you just need to let me know when we get to the action items. I'll ask you if we do have a quorum. So with that, we're going to go ahead while you guys are all logging in to make sure that we can count your presence for today. I do want to welcome new members. Now, there's a difference between members that participate and voting members. So we have a number of new members, and you all know, as the chair, myself and the county staff always celebrate the more that we can build the size and diversity. It gives strength to our continuum of care. So we always encourage and welcome more stakeholders to the table. So it looks like some of the new members include H3. As I read them, if you're here, I hope that you'll say here, because I'd love for you to say a few words about what your organization does. I'll read them, and then if any of you are here, we'll open the floor for you. So we have H3 Foundation, Sheltered Pathways, Amity Foundation, Tiffany Lorley, Inner Healing Project, Inc. Are any, okay, so it looks like H3 is here. Caden, did you want to say something? Welcome.
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I was here previously under ClearPath Foundation, but I've since left ClearPath and we formed H3 Foundation. We are a provider of ECM and community support services. At the moment, we're contracted with Kaiser, but we're working with Molina and IHP to get a contract with them as well. We have 2 facilities that can assist with recuperative care in Riverside near Lake Matthew. And then in San Bernardino, it is off of Bear Valley and 15. But, glad to be back in the community and working with everyone.
Thank you, Caden. And if you don't know, for the rest of the folks, remember, if you want to become a member, there's a voting member after you go through the process of being appointed by the head of your organization, because there's a letter to do that on our website. If you have attendance for 3 consecutive meetings, it's very easy to become a voting member. And when you are a voting member, then you have an important role in having a say in the important policy discussions, program discussions, and everything that we do here at the Continuum of Care. And the Continuum of Care is the body that does feed up policy to the Board of Governance. So while the Board of Governance may make funding decisions, the policies come from the Continuum of Care. So I want you all to remember the importance and role of the Continuum of Care. So with that, we could go ahead and move on to the next slide, Grisham. At this time, we are going to entertain public comments from the community before I open up the floor. Let's see, Zuli, am I asking Zuli or Gershom? Do we have written comments that have been submitted to the Continuum of Care?
Yes, we have 13.
We have 13. Okay, everybody. So, so if we have 13, we're going to go through the process. Zuli, what are we reading the comments?
Yes, I'm going to first say the names of those who submitted comments to see if they're here and if they would like to read their comment. And then if not, I'll go ahead and read all of them.
Okay.
So I have Georgia Tournay, Van Ethan Levi, Aileen Amos, Brent Hines, Colette Lord, L. Thibodeau, Cameron Gary, Arya Yamasaki Pryor, Kelly Fox, April, J. Lopez Gonzalez, and Abigail Cyril Yermatan Miller. Are any of you here that would like to read your public comment? If not, we will read them for you.
Raise your hands if you're here, folks. We want to be able to give you the opportunity. I do not see any raised hands or requests in the chat. Zuli, did you want to go ahead and proceed and start the time
Yes.
clock?
Yes. The first one is from Georgia Tournay. It states, "My name is Georgia Tournay. I am speaking today as a concerned citizen and taxpayer regarding the unjust removal of the Transgender Health and Wellness Center, or THNWC, from the Riverside County Continuum of Care. As someone who advocates for inclusive community spaces and relies on safe, affirming healthcare for survival, I am outraged by this discriminatory action. On March 25th, the Board of Governance voted to remove THNWC as a subrecipient without following required due process under HUD regulations and California law. THNWC was given no written notice or hearing, only a phone call less than 24 hours before the vote. That violates HUD policy and due process protections. This vote followed THNWC's refusal to violate HIPAA by disclosing patient data to the county. Deputy Director Tanya Torno then withheld reimbursements and stated THNWC would be removed. Payments were only made after providing the law. This appears retaliatory and could violate the Hobbs Act and whistleblower laws. Redirecting THNWC's funding to a non-trans inclusive provider raises serious civil rights concerns under Title VII, as confirmed by Bostock versus Clayton County and under California Civil Code Section 51, which prohibits discrimination based on gender identity. Just 3 days later, new contracts cited Executive Order 14168, which erases federal recognition of transgender individuals. Using it as a justification is discriminatory and harmful. I respectfully request the Board of Governance rescind the March 25th vote and abstain from any further action related to THNWC's removal. The county, not this board or its member organizations, should bear full responsibility. Please do not let good people and organizations be used to carry out corrupt, discriminatory actions. Thank you." The next comment is from Van Ethan Levy. "Hello, my name is Van Ethan Levy. I am submitting this public comment to raise a serious concern regarding actions taken by the Riverside County Continuum of Care against the Transgender Health and Wellness Center, which have directly harmed vulnerable members of our community, especially those experiencing houselessness and survivors of interpersonal and sexual violence. COC attempted to compel THNWC to turn over client identifying information for individuals served under its mental health program in 2024, including clients not enrolled in the housing program. This request violated HIPAA and jeopardized the safety of individuals already at high risk. THNWC proposed a lawful and ethical alternative, providing redacted hard copies for audit and securing releases of information where possible. This proposal was ignored by county officials, including Catherine Wormley, and was followed by renewed demands a month later. After THNWC notified the county on March 11 that a formal complaint would be filed, funding was abruptly terminated just 2 weeks later on March 25th, in what appears to be direct retaliation. These actions are not only unethical but illegal. In fact, reimbursements for 2024 services were later approved, confirming that THNWC acted fully within the law. Despite this, Deputy Director Tanya Torno continued pressuring THNWC to hunt down houseless clients for documentation, placing unnecessary and harmful strain on staff and further endangering client trust and well-being. This behavior is punitive, discriminatory, and inconsistent with HUD's own stated mission. The LGBTQ+ community, particularly trans and gender diverse individuals, has now lost access to critical life-saving services. The removal of THNWC from COC funding is not just bureaucratic overreach, it is a dangerous act of erasure that must be addressed. Protections must be put in place to prevent future abuse of power and to ensure equitable access to services for all. Thank you for your attention to this urgent matter." The next one is from Aileen Amos. It says, "Hello, my name is Aileen Amos, and I am submitting the public comment to express my profound concern regarding the actions taken by the Riverside County Continuum of Care against the Transgender Health and Wellness Center. These measures have caused significant harm to some of the most vulnerable members of our community, including those experiencing homelessness and survivors of interpersonal and sexual violence. During my time as a mental health intern at THNWC, I worked closely with this population and witnessed the significant challenges they face. The loss of COC funding will severely affect their safety, well-being, and access to vital resources, creating devastating consequences for those who depend on these services. I am deeply disappointed in the actions taken by the COC, and I request that this issue be addressed with the severity it merits. In 2024, COC demanded that THNWC disclose personally identifiable information about clients served in its mental health program, including individuals not involved in housing services. This request was a clear violation of HIPAA regulations and put these already at-risk individuals in further jeopardy. THNWC responded by suggesting a lawful and ethical alternative, providing redacted documentation for audits and obtaining releases of information where feasible. Unfortunately, this sensible proposal was dismissed by county officials, including Catherine Wormley, who reiterated their demands a month later. On March 11th, THNWC informed the county of its intentions to file a formal complaint regarding these demands. Shortly after, on March 25th, COC abruptly terminated its funding for THNWC, an action that appears to be retaliatory. This decision was not only unethical but unlawful, as later evidenced by the approval of reimbursements for services provided in 2024, which confirmed that THNWC had fully complied with legal requirements. Despite this, Deputy Director Tanya Torno continued to pressure THNWC staff to track down unhoused clients for documentation, further straining staff resources and damaging trust between clients and the organization. These punitive and discriminatory actions stand in stark opposition to HUD's mission to protect and support vulnerable populations. The loss of COC funding for THNWC has stripped LGBTQ individuals, especially transgender, non-binary, and other marginalized communities, of essential life-saving resources. This goes beyond mere bureaucratic oversight. It is a profound act of disregard and exclusion that urgently needs to be addressed. Swift and decisive measures must be taken to rectify this abuse of power, protect against future retaliatory behavior, and guarantee equitable access to vital services for all vulnerable populations in our community. Safeguards must be put in place to defend both service providers and the individuals they support from such discriminatory actions moving forward. The next one is from Brent Hines. It says, "My name is Brent Hines, and I am a licensed psychotherapist living in Palm Springs, California. I am writing this email in vehement opposition to the decision to remove funding from the Transgender Health and Wellness Center's Domestic Violence Rehousing Program and its MPJ Youth Center program. These provide critical services to some of the most physically, psychologically, and emotionally vulnerable individuals in Riverside County. Deputy Director Tanya Torno gave a presentation containing baseless accusations rooted in bias without providing opportunities for Transgender Health and Wellness Center to address these inaccurate assertions. This is a direct violation of due process rights under both federal and state law as well as HUD regulations. Riverside County is further bound by the KC law, which protects vulnerable populations, including LGBTQ+ individuals, from discriminatory government actions that impact life-sustaining services. Additionally, HUD Notice CPD 1701 requires Continuum of Care to administer funding decisions fairly, equitably, and in a non-discriminatory manner, consistent with the Civil Rights Act, the Equal Protection Clause, and all applicable federal guidance. Advancing funding removal as an action item without notice, without a chance to respond, and based on biased claims violates constitutional rights and due process. I respectfully request that the Board of Governance take the following immediate actions: rescind any motion that resulted in the removal of this funding, acknowledge that due process violations have occurred, cease and desist from any further actions that violate constitutional rights or equate to unlawful conduct. This ongoing course of action places Riverside County and individual officials in direct jeopardy of legal consequences and threatens the loss of vital federal funding. I urge you to uphold the integrity of the continuum of care and to fulfill your fundamental responsibility to protect the vulnerable populations you are entrusted to serve. Failing to do so not only undermines the mission of the COC, but also compromises the safety, dignity, and well-being of those who depend on your leadership and accountability. Thank you for your attention to this urgent matter and for your commitment to justice and well-being of our community. I trust you will act with integrity and care that those you serve deserve. The next one is from Colette Lord. It says, my name is Colette Lord. I am bringing to the public record a serious concern regarding an attempt by the Riverside
can
County
you
Continuum
hold
of
it for a
Care
moment?
to compel the Transgender
I'm
Health and
sorry,
Wellness
yes.
Center to
Sonia is
violate.
asking me if we have this map. Is this one of your maps?
Sorry. It says, given the national attack on transgender rights and healthcare, this attempted overreach is highly concerning. THNWC proposed a legal and ethical alternative, maintaining redacted hard copies in office for audit purposes, in accordance with both HIPAA and HUD regulations. This proposal followed disbelief over the hours reported by the mental health director supervising interns. A follow-up email confirming this position and the offer to obtain releases of information where possible was sent, yet never acknowledged by Catherine Wormley. Despite this, the county reignited demands 1 month later, targeting clients not enrolled in the COC program. THNWC consistently refused to violate patient confidentiality. Then on March 11th, THNWC's CEO, Tommy Clinton, informed the county she would be filing a formal complaint, and just 2 weeks later, on March 25th, their funding was cut in what appears to be clear retaliation. As of May 2025, it has been confirmed that reimbursements for 2024 services were paid, validating that THNWC acted within the law and in good faith. Yet Tanya Torno continued to pressure the organization to hunt down homeless clients for ROIs, an unrealistic and harmful demand. This process was not only punitive, but inflicted unnecessary stress on a provider committed to vulnerable populations. This is an abuse of power and a violation of trust. It must be addressed and with strict creation of civil protections and policies to prevent this in the future. The next one is from L. Thibodeau. It says, good afternoon. My name is Elle Thibodeau, and I am a voting resident of Riverside County. I cannot attend the meeting in person, but I wanted to make sure my voice was heard because this issue is deeply personal to me. I am outraged by the decisions to cut funding from critical LGBTQ and domestic violence programs. These programs are not just services. They are lifelines that offer safety, support, and hope to those who need it most. Removing this support not only harms individuals, but also disregards basic humanity and weakens our community. Legally, this decision is flawed. HUD subrecipients have the right to due process, including notice and a fair chance to respond before any funding changes. The public also has a right to give input before final decisions. Denying organizations a chance to speak violates these rights and basic constitutional due process. It's also infuriating that statements made during the hearing question the inclusivity of LGBTQ plus youth spaces, reflecting bias based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Safe affirming spaces for LGBTQ plus youth are essential because mainstream systems have historically failed to support them. This decision not only violates legal protections, but also shows a disregard for the communities you're supposed to represent. As a voting resident, I will remember how you chose to treat vulnerable people when it's time to vote again. I urge you to reconsider your decision and do the right thing for our community. Thank you. The next one is from Cameron Gary. It says, my name is blank. I did my own investigation. I am bringing to the public record a serious concern regarding an attempt by the Riverside County Continuum of Care to compel the Transgender Health and Wellness Center to violate HIPAA laws by providing patient identifying information for all clients served under its mental health program in 2024, many of whom are survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. THNWC proposed a legal and ethical alternative, maintaining redacted hard copies in office for audit purposes. In accordance with both HIPAA and HUD regulations, this proposal followed disbelief over the hours reported by the mental health director supervising interns. A follow-up email confirming this position and the offer to obtain releases of information where possible was sent, yet never acknowledged by Catherine Wormley. Despite this, the county reignited demands 1 month later, targeting clients not enrolled in the COC program. THNWC consistently refused to violate patient confidentiality. Then on March 11th, THNWC CEO Tommy Clinton informed the county she would be filing a formal complaint, and just 2 weeks later, on March 25th, their funding was cut in what appears to be clear retaliation. As of May 2025, it has been confirmed that reimbursements for 2024 services were paid, validating that THNWC acted within the law and in good faith. Yet Tanya Turner continued to pressure the organization to hunt down homeless clients for ROIs, an unrealistic and harmful demand. This process was not only punitive, but inflicted unnecessary stress on a provider committed to vulnerable populations. This is an abuse of power and a violation of trust. It must be addressed with strict creation of civil protections and policies to prevent this in the future. The next one is from Arya Yamasaki Pryor. It says, Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Arya Yamasaki Pryor, and I am speaking today to raise serious concerns about discrimination, civil rights violations, and unequal application of law within this continuum. At the March 25, 2025 meeting, Deputy Director Tanya Tornell falsely accused the Transgender Health and Wellness Center of giving little to no notice when removing clients. Yet this week, his daughter's house, a cisgender faith-based provider, issued a 10-day eviction notice to a legally blind transgender woman, forcing her out of the Genderbread House LLC with nowhere safe to go. This is not just unethical, it is illegal. HUD's equal access rule requires that individuals be housed in accordance with their gender ideology and be allowed to choose safe, affirming housing. VAWA and California's Housing First law also protect survivors of trauma, people with disabilities, and require low-barrier, client-centered placements. These laws are clear. The person, not the provider, gets to choose what is safe. But what's worse, his daughter's house reportedly signed a COC contract agreeing to enforce Trump's 2020 executive order banning federal funding to programs that support so-called gender ideology. That order was widely condemned and rescinded under the Biden administration, but his daughter's house appears to still operate under its discriminatory intent. By enforcing that ideology through a publicly funded COC contract, they are violating California Government Code Section 11135 and UNRRA Civil Rights Act, which prohibit discrimination based on gender identity and affiliation with protected groups. Let's be clear. If a transgender-led organization were caught enforcing a banned political ideology, they'd be immediately sanctioned or defunded. But when a faith-based cisgender provider does it, this board remains silent. That's not just a double standard, it's a civil rights violation. This board must act to apply regulations equally, hold discriminatory providers accountable, and reaffirm its obligation to protect all people, especially transgender disabled individuals under the law. Whatever your beef is with another, it is abusive and unprofessional to put a blind homeless transgender woman in the center of it. Thank you. The next one didn't have a name, but it says, Good afternoon, my name is blank, and I strongly oppose the March 25th agenda action items removing funding from the Transgender Health and Wellness Center's domestic violence rehousing program and its MPJ Youth Center program. Deputy Director Tanya Tornell's presentation of harsh and false accusations framed as fact without allowing THNWC to present evidence to the contrary is a direct violation of due process rights under both federal and state law, as well as HUD regulations. Riverside County is further bound by the KC law, which protects vulnerable populations, including LGBTQ+ individuals, from discriminatory government actions that impact life-sustaining services. Moreover, HUD Notice CPD 1701 requires Continuum of Care to administer funding decisions fairly, equitably, and in a non-discriminatory manner, consistent with the Civil Rights Act, the Equal Protection Clause, and all applicable federal guidance. Making funding removal an action item without notice, without opportunity for defense, and with skewed allegations constitutes an unconstitutional and unlawful process. I ask this Board of Governance immediately, 1, rescind any motions which removed this funding, 2, acknowledge due process violations, and 3, abstain from any further participation in unlawful conduct. Continuing down this path opens Riverside County and individual officials to legal liability and risk critical federal funding. Please protect the integrity of the COC and the vulnerable populations you are charged to serve. Thank you. The next one is from Kelly Fox. It says, "Hello, my name is Kelly Fox. I am a lifelong resident of the Coachella Valley, and I am here to express deep concern and disappointment over the decision by the Riverside County COC Board of Governance to remove the Transgender Health and Wellness Center as a subrecipient of funding on March 25th, 2025. Just 3 days later, on March 28th, Deputy Director Tanya Torno released new contracts that explicitly reference Executive Order 14168, an order that effectively targets transgender individuals and trans-led organizations under the guise of protecting biological truth. The timing is not coincidental. It is abundantly clear that this federal order was used as a political cover to justify the erasure of essential services for one of our county's most vulnerable populations. Let's be honest, this was not about performance. It wasn't about compliance, it was about appeasement. Instead of standing up for equity and inclusion, Riverside County chose to protect its federal funding at the expense of transgender lives. By cherry-picking minor administrative concerns, the county scapegoated an organization that has been a lifeline to trans individuals experiencing homelessness, domestic violence, and sexual assault. This decision sends a chilling message that the lives and safety of transgender adults and youth are negotiable in the county of Riverside, that their access to care is conditional, that the county would rather maintain federal dollars than fight for the dignity and survival of every resident and find other means to be inclusive of all. We see what this is, a slow phasing out of services for transgender people hidden behind bureaucratic language and federal pressure. But make no mistake, the public is watching and history will remember who stood up and who stood silent. The BUG has the power to not be involved in this and to change its vote with this new information kept from them. I hope you choose the right side of history. Thank you. The next one is from April. It says, "Good afternoon. My name is April. I am a cisgender mother of 2 children, both biological and foster, and the partner of a cisgender disabled man. I'm currently receiving help from Transgender Health and Wellness Center to find stable housing for my family in May of 2025. I'm here today because what's happening is wrong and it's hurting people like me. The accusations made by Deputy Director Tanya Torno against the center are not only unfounded, they're discriminatory and rooted in transphobic bias. To claim that the center only wants to serve transgender people is both ludicrous and offensive. Every provider in the continuum of care system focuses on the population they're best equipped to serve. Lighthouse prioritizes veterans. Other providers specialize in youth, families, or domestic violence survivors. Referrals and targeted placements are standard practice, except it seems when the provider is transgender-led. When THNWC refers some cisgender clients to more appropriate services so they can prioritize safe, affirming care for other cisgenders and transgender clients, they are following the same best practices used throughout the system. But instead of being supported, they're being targeted. That's a double standard and it's discriminatory. What's even more disturbing is that some of the cisgender clients reportedly said that they just want free rent and didn't want to be around transgender people. That discomfort should not be used to justify attacking a transgender-led organization. Public officials have a duty to protect vulnerable communities, not validate prejudice. Ms. Torno's actions violate the Equal Access Rule under HUD and California Government Code Section 11135, which prohibit discrimination based on gender identity and state-funded programs. My family is living proof that THNWC helps all people who come through their doors regardless of identity, but they also deserve the right to protect and prioritize the transgender community, especially when no one else will. Thank you." The next one is from J. Lopez Gonzalez. It says, "Good afternoon. My name is J. Lopez Gonzalez, and I strongly oppose the March 25th agenda action items removing funding from Transgender Health and Wellness Center's domestic violence rehousing program and its MPJ Youth Center program. Deputy Director Tanya Torno's presentation of harsh and false accusations framed as fact without allowing THNWC to present evidence to the contrary is a direct violation of due process rights under both federal and state law as well as HUD regulations. Riverside County is further bound by the Casey Law, which protects the vulnerable populations, including LGBTQ+ individuals, from discriminatory government actions that impact life-sustaining services. Moreover, HUD Notice CPD 1701 requires Continuum of Care to administer funding decisions fairly, equitably, and in a non-discriminatory manner, consistent with the Civil Rights Act, the Equal Protection Clause, and all applicable federal guidance. Making funding removal an action item without notice, without opportunity for defense, and with skewed allegations constitutes an unconstitutional and unlawful process. I ask the Board of Governance immediately, 1, rescind any motion which remove this funding, 2, acknowledge due process violations, and 3, abstain from any further participation in unlawful conduct. Continuing down this path opens Riverside County and individual officials to legal liability and risk critical federal funding. Please protect the integrity of the COC and the vulnerable populations you are charged to serve. And the last comment is from Abigail Cyril Yermatan Miller. It says, my name is Abigail, and I strongly oppose the March 25th agenda action items removing funding from the Transgender Health and Wellness Center's Domestic Violence Rehousing Program and its MPJ Youth Center program. Deputy Director Tanya Torno's presentation of harsh and false accusations framed as fact without allowing THNWC to present evidence to the contrary is a direct violation of due process rights under federal and state law, as well as HUD regulations. Riverside County is further bound by the Casey Law, which protects vulnerable populations, including LGBTQ+ individuals, from discriminatory government actions that impact life-sustaining services. Moreover, HUD Notice CPT 1701 requires the COC to administer funding decisions fairly, equitably, and in a non-discriminatory manner, consistent with the Civil Rights Act, the Equal Protection Clause, and all applicable federal guidance. Making funding removal an action item without notice, without opportunity for defense, and with skewed allegations constitutes an unconstitutional and unlawful process. I ask this Board of Governance immediately to 1, rescind any motions which remove this funding, 2, acknowledge due process violations, and 3, abstain from any further participation in unlawful conduct. Continuing down this path opens Riverside County and individual officials to legal liability and risk critical federal funding. Please protect the integrity of the COC and the vulnerable populations you are charged to serve. Thank you. And that is all the comments.
Madam Chair,
Karen,
you're
you're
muted.
muted.
Sorry, you guys, I'm so sorry. That concludes the reading of the written comments that were submitted to the Continuum of Care. Are there any members of the Continuum of Care that are present that would like to make a public comment? Raise your hands. I do see Karen Youngwell. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to clear up something that was just read into the record. Lighthouse Social Service Center does not prioritize veteran in its services. We do serve veteran, but we do not prioritize the veteran population. We also serve families, individuals, persons with chronic health conditions, with mental health conditions, persons in the reentry community, persons who are fleeing domestic violence. So we have lots of populations that we serve, and we do not target or prioritize one population over another. So I felt that that needed to be put in the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Anybody else would like to make a public comment? You have up to 3 minutes. Hearing none, I'm going to turn the floor over to Tanya Torno, the Deputy Director, the Office of Homeless Services. Tanya, did you want to make some further comments about the public comments that were submitted for the record?
I did. I saw a hand raised by Dr. Mason first, and so I want to make sure that if she had a public comment, that maybe we gave her a chance before I spoke.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I missed that. Thank you, Tanya.
Hi, thank you so much. This is Dr. Mason. I also want to clarify, and I want to second the comment made by Catherine earlier, that we do not prioritize anybody who, we do not prioritize anyone other than those who are eligible. Okay, so we serve everybody. We also have not evicted anybody. We have not threatened eviction. We have welcomed everybody with open arms. We have gone above and beyond to make sure that this transition is smooth, that the clients are reassured, and that they can maintain their housing. So I just want to make that very clear that we have gone above and beyond and will continue to go above and beyond for not only our transitioned over to our program, but all clients. Okay. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Okay, Ms. Tanya.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to take a few moments to share, and just again, in case, Tanya Torno, Deputy Director with HWS's Office of Homeless Services. And first and foremost, thank everyone for their public comments, and really remind everyone that our continuum of care, our Department of Housing and Workforce Solutions, our entire team, our entire county, and I know all of you together, we've all worked really, really hard to create an inclusive environment for all people. And to date, all of our actions are reflective of this. If you think about all of the different programs that we operate and how intentional we have been to increase our reach, to make sure that really today we can make sure that we have coverage in every single one of our cities in all unincorporated areas. And of course, we don't do this alone. We do this really together as part of our goal to have a collective impact. So again, like you, we care very, very deeply about doing this and serving everyone. Again, there is a space here for everyone. I wanted to also take the time and reiterate some of the points that Dr. Mason, director of his daughter's house, mentioned, to say that we are very much wanting to support any residents who are currently and were part of the transition from the Transgender Health and Wellness Domestic Violence Rapid Rehousing Project, and are going have already been contacted by caseworkers as part of that transition. If there are any residents here who are concerned about their assistance, in the same way, if there are caseworkers who are working with clients and are concerned about their assistance, please reach out to us. Please reach out to me personally. I will ask one of our team members to please drop my email in the chat box. I can't always do two things at once, but please reach out to me. We want to make sure that no one experiences disruption in services, that we can continue to coordinate rental assistance and care, whatever is needed to support continued stabilization in housing. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows that they can reach me, and these items, these requests, will be moved to the very top of my list of things to do. Again, we want to make sure that no one's assistance is disrupted. Our aim is to make sure that every person receives help. I think with that, I'll share, because I realize for everyone here, you may not have been a part of our Board of Governance meeting. All of our meetings are recorded and listed on our website. And so one of our team members will also be dropping a link to the Board of Governance meeting of March 25th that you can view, and will provide you with more background. So with that, again, thank you for this time, and I'll return it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Given the number of comments that we have received, why don't we go ahead? I'd love to entertain a motion to receive all of the written comments, that they have been received for the record, and that they have been read for the record. Can I go ahead and, do we have a quorum? I'd like to go ahead and do this because this is a really important time for us. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum.
Do I have someone that would be willing to move the motion that I just made? First?
Michelle Davis of the City of Riverside. I'll make the first.
Okay, do I have a second?
Kim Williams, step up
I'll
on
second
second.
it.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any abstentions or objections?
Highlight.
Sure. Hearing none, the Continuum of Care has taken action to officially receive the written comments for the record and to acknowledge that they have been read into the record. With that, we're going to go ahead and move to the next agenda item. The next agenda item, one of my favorite agenda items of the month as the chair, is to do a leadership spotlight. And I am super excited to have Inspire Life Skills training today. Christy Perez is the executive director. And before I turn the floor over to her, I want to read just a little bit of her bio for you to let you know about her. As the founder and executive director of Inspire, Christy Perez leads the organization's program staff and strategic growth while remaining closely connected with the youth they serve. She holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from Pacific Christian College and a master's in organizational leadership from Concordia University in Irvine. A certified coach through the International Coaching Federation, Christy is passionate about helping others realize their strengths and achieve their goals. She lives in Corona with her husband, has twin daughters, is a hospital social worker and an elementary school teacher. And she enjoys weekend bike rides and traveling abroad. And she's got an amazing program that serves foster youth, homeless youth. Christy, we're so excited to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm glad I get to share today. So does somebody just do the slides? How does this work? Okay. All right. So basically our mission is to break the cycle of abuse and poverty through stable housing, education, training, mentorship of foster and homeless youth. Our vision is a future where all youth continue to use the tools provided to make productive, self-sufficient, and positive choices. Of course, we all hope that our clientele keeps making good choices after they leave our programs. Okay, next. So our model is a bridge temporary housing with services. So our students can stay up to 5 years. We are education focused, so they need to be either going to a vocational program or college full-time unless they have diagnosed learning disabilities, then they can go less units. For us, we consider full-time like 3 classes, so it's not like full-time. They also do work a part-time job and they pay a little bit of rent. Our impact so far has been over 300 youth served since our inception in 2005. We currently have 5 homes, 3 in Riverside, 1 in Corona, 1 in Eastvale. We also started another program during COVID because, you know, those of us who had extra time, I guess, during COVID, we started another program. So that program is called Inspired Scholars, and that's a second step for kids going on to university. They get stipends and coaching. We serve 30 to 40 youth at a time, and some of our alumni include a couple teachers, many social workers, business owners, a couple lawyers, many nurses, a couple cosmetologists, and a couple auto techs. And then other kids doing all kinds of things, but those are the ones that I know are like actively in their professions. Our latest home was purchased through a partnership with Riverside County ARPA grant with Supervisor Karen Spiegel's office and the Homeless Workforce Solutions team. Many of you are on here, so thank you again for how amazing it was to work together. We provide holistic, trauma-informed support to foster and homeless youth through safe and stable housing. Life skills training. We do have classes twice a month where all the houses come together and learn various topics. They have one-on-one mentoring with a volunteer from the community who just signs up to be like an accountability partner / encouragement / the fun aunt and uncle. So that's really important piece of our program is the mentoring. They also receive professional counseling. We have 2 therapists, case management with our social workers, and health and wellness services. These are some pictures of our newest home. So we had purchased this home in Corona, and we did a pretty big rehab. It was straight out of like 1982 when we got it. Well, the front of the house is like early 1900s, but it had been like rehabbed in the 80s, so it looked pretty 80s. So we were lucky to get some community members to help with, we were out of funding to do anything with the yards. So there was a group in Corona called the James Project that came and landscaped the front yard for us. And then there was a whole team of about 5 different companies that came together and just did the backyard last week for us. So that was exciting to get all that. Some of the hardscape was already there, but they put in the plants and the rock and the DG stuff, and it looks really good. Cleaned everything up. So it's going to be a nice tranquil space for the young ladies to go out there and do homework and just relax. Here's just some photos of our youth over the years with their mentors. We do different excursions. We go to the beach. We usually try to do a couple cultural events each year, like going to a play or a musical or going to a museum. So we try to do a couple fun events, a couple cultural events. And then we always have like a nice Thanksgiving dinner and a Christmas party. We have a summer barbecue where we celebrate all of our graduates. And then they all come to our gala, which is held in September. And we do a lot of prep with them on how to like interact with supporters and how to speak to them and things like that. And a lot of great connections actually come out of that. One of our girls that just graduated Cal Poly on Sunday, I went to her graduation at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. She already connected with one of our donors that she met at the gala, and she's getting hired by him for her first full-time job in her career choice in criminal justice. So it's super exciting. We teach them how to make those networking connections. And the boy at the top right, he that just shows that they get like a nice welcome basket and stuff when they first move in. But I got him at 19 years old, and then he graduated, and then he's been in RA with us for a few years, and now I have his younger brother. So oftentimes we get like younger siblings as they come through. So is that the last? I think I have the video next. Uh-oh, can the sound work?
No,
Yeah.
there's no.
There's no sound?
I think he's working
A
on it.
hero to me
Oh, okay.
is someone who inspires
Oh.
you and helps you and encourages you in the best way possible. I think that's a hero to me.
Oftentimes in the foster care process, there's a lot of times where you just need help and no one steps up.
There's the foster kids who, like, you know, they do get lost in the system and they get out and they don't have anywhere to go.
If I would have got the boot at 18, I would be homeless. I don't have anywhere else to go, you know, but I had the chance to like become more independent here. And that's all I needed was a chance.
A lot of times that's pretty much the start of what they need. A home where they're not worried about being kicked out, they're not worried about food, they're not worried about, you know, basic necessities. And then they can focus on themselves and the future and maybe what lies ahead.
There was just one shelter that I kept going back to. Like, I would go there and then I would go back home and then something would happen and I would have to leave there again and probably be homeless for a while. I didn't know where I was going to be, if I was going to have anywhere to go. It was the difference between being homeless and, you know, being able to have a home and a bed and able to go to college. Like, this program has enabled me to do that.
There are young people who have the potential to move their lives forward in a different way than they ever dreamt possible if they know that somebody is there holding hope for them. And I think that's what this program is about. I think that the youth can get a break from where they've been from and focus on the future, especially when they're educated.
They have like these life skill courses where they bring someone in, maybe a mechanic, maybe an accountant, and just teach you things that, you know, I didn't learn growing up. I don't balance a checkbook, but now I know how to budget.
It makes me want to do better and be better, like, and be successful so that I can make them proud, so that I want them to have something to show for it, like just be like better me, you know?
I think a hero is someone who basically steps up when needed. The mentorship was very, very helpful for me. And I think that Inspire, with the mentors, I couldn't have foreseen that I would go to law school and become an attorney.
I really admire our mentors. When you're talking to a young person who has such incredible needs, and just to be able to have the wherewithal to work with them and help them through a complicated circumstance, that's big stuff.
They've done things for me that I can't repay them for. And I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for people like them and programs like this.
This program to me means a second chance, and being able to have a home and a bed and able to go to college, like this program has enabled me to do that.
I think the youth are heroes because they're working so hard to move past their past and to develop a future that's healthy and successful for them.
So I think it's very important to not look at people from where they are, but where they can be.
So thank you for letting me share about Inspire. We are celebrating
A
20
hero to
years,
me is someone who is
which is crazy because I can't believe it's been 20 years since I started it. But it's exciting. We're happy to still be growing in a secondary program, growing in our houses, and hopefully just getting more youth, through their dreams and their goals of becoming educated on some level so that they can be self-sufficient. And learning all those valuable life skills too. That's a huge part of what we do. So
Thank you so much. Now is your
Yes.
opportunity, everybody, to ask questions. If you have clients that you think could be referred to the program, if you have questions, please raise your hand. Lee, yes, let's hear it.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, so I'm at Starting Over Inc. and we house people coming home from prison.
Right.
So every once in a while, I get somebody that did time in youth authority and then a couple years of prison, and they're under 20 years old, and they're looking at transitional housing. Is that somebody that you can serve?
If they're eligible to get a job, we have a couple kids right now that had some things on their record, but they were eligible to get work. So as long as it doesn't impede them from getting FAFSA, because they need that for school, or being able to get a job, then we could definitely look at them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, I should say they also do need to have either a GED or a high school diploma.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Well, Christy, look at this. I know you were time constrained and it's 3:57. How's that for
Perfect.
timing?
15 minutes to spare. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
I just want to thank you for your willingness to present before the Continuum of Care, and obviously for the amazing work that you do in our region and in the city of Corona.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for the hearts and the claps. I appreciate it.
Okay, team, let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. This time, we're going to go ahead and entertain a motion for the consent item, which is to approve the April 23rd Continuum of Care minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Angelina Collier. I had a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Kim Williams, I second. Step up.
Thank you. Are there any abstentions or objections?
Michelle Davis, City of Riverside. I have to abstain.
Okay, for the record, Michelle Davis is abstaining. Hearing no other comments, the item passes. Let's move on to the next agenda item. New business 2025, the awaited drum roll, point in time count. Tanya Torno, let's hear it.
All right. So as our Madam Chair just said, I'm here to give you the results of our 2025 point in time count data. If we advance to the next slide, I'll jump in and share with you that as in previous years, we have continued to title our point in time count more than a count. And really that has come through the leadership of Heidi Marshall, our director, and assistant director, Mike Walsh, who are on the line and continuously remind our teams, all of our different divisions that fall under the Housing and Workforce Solutions umbrella, that again, the count is a good indicator that we use to measure our progress, but it's what we do with the results that matter. So for that reason, we have titled this presentation this way, and as we advance to the next slide, I'll begin to give you some insight on what we found. I definitely want to acknowledge all of you. We had over 870 volunteers, people from the community, persons from your teams, caseworkers, outreach workers who joined us to do the unsheltered count across all of our 28 cities, and even in the following days to make sure that we captured people in the unsheltered count, and as well as county departments and all key players, so many to name, who are part of our homeless continuum of care. And as a result of that, we really had a good reach, and the results this year reflect a 1,978 total unsheltered population. So let me preference this with saying that the point in time count consists of two numbers. So our unsheltered count, which is again, the event that we do with all the volunteers where we actually go out and count people who are living on the streets, in their vehicles, in encampments. And then the second component is capturing an inventory of everybody that we have in our shelter. So I'm going to be going through and breaking down these numbers to you respectively by both of those populations. And when we just look at the unsheltered count, this is the first year where we had a dramatic decrease of 19%. And you'll see from the slide before you some of the lowest numbers since 2020. And I think the other really big important highlight is that this is the first time where we saw decreases in all of our major subpopulations. So that we counted less veterans, less families with children, less young adults or transitional age youth who were 18 through 24 years old, as well as seniors. This is really, really big, and I wish I had Karen's energy, because I want to make sure that we recognize why this is so important. A few years ago, in 2020, we worked very closely with all of you to develop a homeless action plan. I think it was like 2 years in the making, right? That has been adopted and has spelled out very specific strategies on how we are going to collectively work together to end homelessness. That plan called out specific strategies to address homelessness for these subpopulations. And as a result, it's the reason why we've gone after and are now successfully implementing our youth homelessness demonstration program. We also have a great partnership with County Adult Services so that any homeless senior is quickly accessed or can access services through that system. We have a close relationship. I see Renee Huckstead on the line with our DPSS partners at Self-Sufficiency to ensure that families with children are fast-tracked to housing. And again, we're doing the same thing with veterans, right? It was this continuum of care just last year, and board members from the COC that approved an investment to our county veterans department to make sure that we prioritize the same effort. So we're seeing results, less people on the streets. And if we advance to the next slide, that very much correlates with what we saw in our sheltered count, where we this year saw more people, an 11% increase since last year, but a full 57% 7% increase since 2023 of the number of people who are in shelter beds. And that is significant because, again, using HAP investments, that's our state housing and homeless assistance program, as well as county ARPA dollars and other CARES funding that came in response to COVID, we have been really intentional in using that to develop more housing, but also to expand the number of temporary shelter beds. And you've heard us talk quite a bit as a result of getting feedback from you and your teams that we need to make sure that we have places to put people in so that we avoid waiting lists or essentially having people wait to get housing and care. And so I want to acknowledge again, all of our different partners, all of you. Just 2 weeks ago, we were at the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission celebrating the expansion of their family shelter, which came through multiple investments that started with the county ARPA funding, and again, was a result of the Homeless Action Plan that called out for this level of intervention. So great success. We're seeing more beds, more people in housing, and I think it's equally important to take this time to recognize and remind people that what these results prove with more people in shelter is that people do want help. People do want our help. Oftentimes when we're engaging them out in the community, we're visiting them at their current place of residency, which is a tent or encampment. We hear that it takes multiple engagements before there is a connection or someone says, yes, I'll go to that shelter, and ultimately what we've learned is that when we can present the right options to people or present them with the things that they need, that they are willing to come alongside of us and do the work. I don't know how else to say it, to do the work and work on a path towards self-sufficiency. So all great results. And again, we saw all of our major 4 subpopulations also have increases in shelter, which again are saying that we are building the resources that they need and benefit from. Advancing to the next slide, I wanted to share, I think it's equally important to recognize that when we surveyed people and asked them the top 3 primary reasons for why they are experiencing homelessness, all 3 of those reasons are tied to an economic challenge, with family disruption being at the top. And then I think also important is that we're continuing to see that, I think over 400 of the people that we surveyed were experiencing homelessness for the first time. And a lot of those individuals were seniors. And next, we'll take you through and reveal that with the unsheltered and sheltered count, the total number of people that we identified was 3,990. So Zoe, if I can have you advance to the next slide. And so overall, we did show a 7% increase from the last full count that we did in 2023. So again, while we had an increase, the increase was largely felt because we had more people in shelter. And because we are big on looking at trends over time, we included this snapshot to show that in the same way that we measured COVID and we worked towards flattening the curve, that the rate at which homelessness is growing in our community is decreasing. So where in 2022, we saw a 15% decrease, and we've seen that reduce in 2023 to 12%. This year, our increase was only 7%. Again, all acknowledging that while we have so many different factors and barriers that are working against us, such as inflation and the high costs of rents, and seniors being challenged with being on a fixed income, we are continuing to reduce, the larger impact, or the impact could be worse. Next, wanted to take some time to share with you some of the big highlights. The first being that we have really been working to make sure that we incorporate all different shelter resources in our homeless management information system, that is HMIS, certainly so that in times of emergencies, and right on any given day that a street outreach worker has a person in front of them, they have full access to what's available. And so this year's point in time count included beds from our CalWORKS self-sufficiency division, or the housing support program, which is, I think, a big primary reason why we saw a growth. And so our plan is to continue to make sure that those beds remain available for you to track and accessible. I think the last major point that we wanted to highlight is that additionally, we are seeing that for every 2 people entering homelessness for the first time, 3 individuals were housed and maintained to stable housing. So this is also big and significant, and demonstrates that our system is working. And what we've shared with you time and time again, that your housing efforts and your ability, our ability as a system to house more people is what's leading to that growth rate decline. And so next, we always want to go back to what is the impact of our system, because going to what we said in the beginning, the point in time count is good. It captures the impact in one point in time, but our HMIS data is the tool that we can use to really look at who is accessing our system over a 12-month period. And as a reminder, we've had 18,339 unique individuals that have been served. We're continuing to monitor, of the people that we connected to housing, which currently is 7,307 individuals, or 1 in 2.5 individuals. Those that we've connected to housing, over 80% maintain housing even after 2 years. So thank you for the work that you do. It is paying off. The data is demonstrating this, and I think really positions us as a community to remain competitive for other federal and state grants. But again, I know very much aligns to the missions that all of us have to serve people again in an inclusive and better way. We wanted to end, and so now we'll go to the next slide with a reminder of where do we go from here? Because I think sometimes we talk about the point in time count, and again, there's a need here. And like you, I'm committed to seeing this through to the end. And we wanted to remind ourselves that our homeless action plan continues to be a living document. I think every fall, so last September, we last met with you and gave you an update on the 5-year goals, which are spelled out here on screen. And I want to thank our Vice Chair, Michelle Davis, because she reminded us that we needed to do that. And during that meeting, you may recall that we have been making progress on all 5. You heard me speak to number 1, but all of these, based on our current progress report, we're showing that we're making progress and on track to meet these goals. So to that end, we want to continue to thank you for partnering with us in this work. And with that, I'll go ahead and conclude my presentation and see if anybody has any questions.
Any questions or comments? Well, as the chair, and then I'll turn it over to our vice chair. the monumental amount of work that went into this is incredible. And, just reflecting on how much work it takes, I'm so glad as a region we decided that it's important to focus on the data and focus on outcomes as opposed to needing to do an unsheltered count every year. So again, to the staff and the continuum of care that supported that policy decision, I think it's important for us to remember that. And then I think sometimes, people for the PIT numbers, whether it's sheltered or unsheltered, Tanya is absolutely right. It is a point in time. And we know not everybody becomes homeless on the same day. Not everybody leaves homelessness on the same day. It's a very fluid number. So what we really need to encourage ourselves and also to remind ourselves in terms of accountability is that slide before this one that Tanya showed, which was how the system is performing, how many people we are serving each day through the system, and then locally within our own individual programs, but we are connected as a whole. So that's what we really need to continue to hang our hats on is the performance of the system and how successful we are in moving people out of homelessness and into permanent housing. So there's a huge amount of celebration that we need to have because that's really where the rubber meets the road, and that is what is most important, besides just remembering the lives that have been transformed as a result of this work. And this is hard work, everybody. So y'all can pat yourselves on the back. You all have different requirements for your respective programs. You have tough decisions that you have to make every day. You don't have resources to help everybody. So I hope you can take a moment of reflection to just be excited about the outcomes that Tanya just shared with you. And Tanya, to you and your team, so much work went into this. And I will just say, besides the volunteers that you mentioned, there is a large army of law enforcement officials and also outreach workers who weren't necessarily listed on that list of volunteers. So that list is much bigger. So anyways, Madam Vice Chair, did you want to say a few words also? You're muted, my dear.
Sorry about that. Just want to thank Tanya and her team for all the great work that you guys did on the point in time count and the summary that you guys provided as well, and the first impact report, which I look forward to looking at how other cities are doing as well. And I know you guys are working on the demographic breakdown so that cities can kind of look at, hey, where do we need to start focusing our resources and subpopulations as well. So looking forward to that data. Do you know when that we can anticipate that data coming out?
Yeah, so we will have the full report available on June 1st. And Michelle, I'm glad you mentioned this. That report will have full demographics as Michelle described, broken down by city and unincorporated areas, in addition to specific information for by subpopulation. So keep an eye out for that. We anticipate it being out the first week of June.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you know what? Just one other comment I want to make, and I want to thank the county staff for this. The PIT numbers are important, but the real numbers are HMIS. So just remember that, because the real numbers show you who's being served in every area across the county. And so that is a real-time number that for every hit across the system. So that is like super important. Any other comments or questions? You guys are kind of quiet. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. Agenda item 6, standing items. Okay, CFC lead agency update. Tanya, we're going to hand it back over to you.
That's me. Thank you again. I'll just provide us through some brief updates. The first one being that we currently have an RFP open for our youth homelessness demonstration program. We are looking for a vendor to operate a drop-in center and support youth navigators. The RFP opened up on May 1st. I know we sent out an email to the entire COC, and we just wanted to remind individuals that that is set to close May 27th. If you have any questions in the interim, you are welcome to contact Mariel Sarmiento from our team, and so we'll drop her email in the chat box. There is approximately $433,000 available to support a project in this capacity. The second announcement is regarding another RFP, our HAP, again, Homeless Housing Assistance Program, and ESG, Emergency Solutions Grant RFP. We combined those two funding sources together to reduce the administrative impact to you and your grant writers who I know are often tackling more than one grant at any given time. That RFP opened May 2nd and is set to close on June 2nd. In the same vein, if you have questions, you are welcome to contact us at coc@rivco.org. Together, there is approximately $4 million available through this RFP, which we are looking to fund or to support a myriad of activities, which include rapid rehousing, street outreach, and other housing intervention efforts. So we're really hoping to expand our reach with these dollars and make sure that every area is covered. And then lastly, we wanted to highlight a new project that has already embarked and is serving our Southwest region, which is known as the Murrieta Creek Trail Encampment Project. You may recall that a few months ago, we were here and announced our successful awards of $12.9 million to support the region. And I want to, of course, acknowledge Supervisor Washington's office. I'm not sure if Sunday sales is still on, but their team has been instrumental in addition to Brian Ambroy, City of Murrieta, and the other cities in the region. I think I see Lindsay Sisti on the line, who together, county and cities, are really put together a great program that will ensure that any person who needs assistance in this region can receive it. There's great partnerships with nonprofits in addition to county departments to make sure that, again, people get housing, but they get the health and behavioral health care that they need as well, which we know work together. So we're excited that project officially, I will say, broke ground. The teams were like running out the door, ready to serve people May 1st. And the couple that you see on screen is one of the first couples that was housed through that project. So here they are for the first time moving into a hotel, which is serving as bridge housing. Why is it bridge housing? Why are we not labeling it as emergency shelter? Because the team made sure that they already had a destination. And so they were put here for a few days until their apartment unit was ready for move-in. I think everyone knows we have to do inspections and coordinate move-in processes with the owner. And so I think it's really, really important to acknowledge and remind the community that when we facilitate these connections and we help people, we're seeing it through to the finish line. And I think I also heard that this specific couple had very specific health needs. And so we were able to loop in our street medicine team. I don't know if our folks are here from Healthcare in Action, who are funded under a completely different county grant, right? But again, shows how we're leveraging, aligning resources as spelled out in our homeless action plan to serve people. So I can only imagine what this meant to them, but I just want to acknowledge all the different teams sitting on the ground, the Housing Authority, who are all working together to make this possible. So with that wraps up my updates. I'll go ahead and hand it back to our chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lots more to celebrate. It's just so exciting and amazing. Okay, and let's go ahead and move to the next agenda item 6.2, coordinated entry system lead update. Lucy, the floor is yours.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so apologies, I have allergies going on right now, so but I will try to power through this. So I will be doing the CS lead update for May, but the update will be for the month of April. And this will be, my agenda will be going over the lead updates and some announcement and update requests. Next slide. So just regarding the Home Connect calls, there were about 1,847 phone calls. 546 of those were resulting in diversion by providing resources to prevent homelessness or eviction. 576 of the calls were screened and linked to the coordinated entry system. Of those screens, we had 86 that were families, 7 identified as veterans, 75 were of senior age, and 13 were of TAY population. And we did have 39 members that were removed from the queue and placed into housing through CES. And in those, we had 19 that were fleeing domestic violence. There was 1 veteran household placed, 12 seniors, and 8 TAY that were housed. Can I get the next slide? Thank you. So we have about 967 members on the community queue. Regarding the cities with the highest numbers of residents that are on that queue, they include Riverside, that saw a decrease from between March and April of about 3.27. Indio experienced a roughly 4% increase in April, and Palm Springs saw over a 6% decline of members in the community queue. CS does project those numbers in those cities to lower due to upcoming opportunities that are opening up in the next few months. And in the month of April, CES had 96 open and active Home Connect referrals sent out, 58 of which were connected to permanent supportive housing opportunity and 38 to rapid rehousing opportunities. Slide. We also just wanted the COC to be aware of the low number of veterans that are currently on the community queue. Last report shows 23 veterans that were on the queue and declining as properties open up. So veterans currently enter the coordinated entry system at about 5 enrollments a month with an exit rate of about 6 a month. And CS would like to target a placement rate of about 7 and 9 monthly, and we're working to reach this goal within the next 3 to 6 months. So we will continue to strategize by increasing housing connections and placements, as well as strengthening linkage to outreach agencies. Right. So we'll be collaborating with roughly 5 agencies a month to designate a CES trainee for CES to train different agencies and have a specific liaison. That way, agency basic information and step-by-step trainings are even more accessible to each agencies. And we'll be working on creating pathways of those trainings as they're created and distributed to different agencies. So if you are part of an agency in need of a training until we reach this finalization of this goal, please reach out to myself or Home Connect and to give a formal request. And CS has also identified patterns of errors in data and will be working with agencies to train in how to run data quality reports and reducing those data errors in the long run. Right. So we are requesting agencies to present at our CES partnership meeting for the second half of the 2025 year. So if you are part of an agency that would like to get exposure amongst the other agencies on the call, Riverside County-wide, please feel free to shoot myself an email or Home Connect. Next slide. And we're always looking for feedback from you all. So if there's any recommendations, please feel free to unmute or send us an email at Home Connect. We have one more slide. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If you have questions or requests, reach out to our admin team as pictured on your screens, the email addresses. And that is all I have for you all today. You see a couple hands up. Tanya? Yeah.
Yes, Lucy, if you wouldn't mind going back to the slide with the veterans information. I just wanted to jump in to get us excited about what these numbers mean. So I think everyone knows that as part of our coordinated entry system, we are keeping a track of every single person that is engaged by our street outreach team. And so this is a very much an active list, and then our teams come together, especially for the veterans effort, on a bi-monthly basis to case conference those individuals and coordinate next steps into housing. This list in the past has been significantly larger. And I think in 1 year, we usually, in the last 12 months, I think we recently did a count and found that there were 64 veterans. And so we've been able to now reduce this list of 64 to 23 that are across our entire county. Only 23 veterans. And so part of my hope is that these numbers will encourage us to come together. If you're not a part of our veterans case conferencing meetings, we'd love for you to partner and help us move these veterans to the next step. In the same vein, we also know that our list is only as accurate as we do a good job of adding veterans to this list. So we want to work with all of you, all of your teams to make sure that we can help all of these 23 individuals or veterans who are remaining. And I think we can get there really fast, really soon, which is huge given that in 2016, we were the first large county to reach functional zero for veteran homelessness. And while after that, we saw our numbers increase. We're now for, again, this point in time, seeing those numbers decline because we're housing more. So I'd love to work together with all of you, our CES team, Lucy and Sean, as well as our county veteran services team. Would love for you to join this effort and to help get this down to a zero so that we can reclaim our functional zero status. So if you're curious, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. But we really need everybody on board. These are 23 veterans. We can help them. We can do this and reclaim our status. So had to jump on. Thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda item. Okay, Housing Resource Policy Update, Mr. Greg Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm going to apologize. I'm going to leave my camera off. I'm at about 2% on my laptop battery. So just a few updates really briefly on the State Assembly. The housing bonds, one introduced in the Assembly by Assemblymember Wicks, AB 736. That's on suspense file right now, so we'll see if that's picked up. And then the companion bill, Senate Bill 417 by Calderon, is still awaiting action in the Senate there. So we'll keep monitoring those. I think it's important to note in the May revise, the governor did not allocate any dollars for the HAP or Housing Homes Assistance Program or additional revenue for affordable housing development. We have heard there are some legislators on both the Assembly and Senate side that are interested in introducing a budget amendment for HAP. We know that the county State Association of Counties is actually supporting those efforts as well. And then, excuse me, on the federal side, we're still monitoring what will be in the budget. There's a lot of back and forth on what kind of cuts may happen to housing and urban development, even the Medicaid cuts that could affect some of the programming that we do. And so we'll continue to monitor those as well. Our county CEO, Jeff Van Wagenen, has asked for departments for both the state may revise budget and as well as potential cuts from the federal government to analyze what those impacts would be to our programming. So both in terms of dollar amount and staff impact as well and programmatic impact. So, and again, that's, I think, the biggest updates. Happy to take any questions if I can.
Hearing none,
It is a
thank you so
quiet group
much.
today.
Yes, thank you so much, Greg. You know, we appreciate you keeping us up to date on these important matters. It looks like our vice chair does have a question for you or a comment. Michelle?
Greg, thanks for the update. Do you think once you have your analysis done, would you be able to share that out with the different cities as well, so that we can also get some of our providers and nonprofits informed of any impacts?
Yeah, I can't commit 100%. I need to run that by my leadership team first. But
absolutely.
But anything we can, sure, we definitely would. So
okay. Thanks.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Informational items. You can see the committee reports that are available to you in the Google Docs. We had the privilege to sign one letter of support this month for Faith in Action. Myself and Michelle always love to sign those for you all. Keep them coming. We want to support bringing more resources into the subregion, and getting the support from the Continuum of Care goes a long way with funders, and sometimes it's an actual requirement with funders. So there are no APRs to review in the Google Docs for you this month. Next agenda item. This time we can entertain ideas for future agenda items. Do any of you have any requests or calls for agenda items for the next or even future meetings for that matter? Nothing? You're loving everything we're bringing to you? It's all good? Are you guys just quiet today? Okay, let's go ahead and hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Announcements. Okay, this is the time where members of the Continuum of Care, people participating, can make announcements. Hopefully good news. So whatever you want to talk about, challenges, good news, you have some kind of an announcement you need us to know about, please. Okay, Benjamin.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'm Benjamin Schuler, and I am the founder of the Hole in the Wall, Inc. We are a homeless drop-in center in Moreno Valley, and I have not been to this meeting in a long, long time, so I do apologize. But we have a health fair coming up this coming Saturday, May the 24th, and we were looking to have mobile showers, haircuts, bus passes, food vouchers, food, clothing giveaway for the homeless in Moreno Valley. The address is 24187 Postal Avenue in Moreno Valley. The event starts from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I know I'm a little behind with this meeting, so I wanted to get in today and hopefully be able to continue each month to be a member of this group. But I just wanted to announce that.
So Benjamin, you're welcome to drop the details in the chat or a flyer. Oh, Michelle, you, yeah, we could get it out through the Continuum of Care. And if you ever want to get that to us, excuse me, in advance at our cfc@rivco.org, we're so happy to share the information. The staff gets it out immediately. So just keep that in mind for those of you that like to see broader community participation in your events. Greg, did you have a comment or a suggestion or a great announcement?
Just announcement. It's graduation time. So I just kind of wanted to congratulate all of our youth at our centers, as well as just throughout Riverside County. Our COE is going to be having one of the largest graduation events that they're having tonight out at the Lake Elsinore Storm Stadium. It's going to be quite the event for them. I think it's nearly 400 grads for RCOE this year. Just fantastic. And then, of course, me locally, I've got so many high schools out here in the Valley. They all start tomorrow. No, I'm sorry, Thursday, Friday, next Tuesday, next Wednesday. So there's just tons and tons of graduations that are happening. And you guys get the opportunity to see the signs in people's yards or billboards or whatever. Just kind of give them a special thanks. That's about it.
That's wonderful. Yes. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Okay. Next slide. Oh, we do have another agenda item, 9.1, call for 2025 Board of Governance nominations. Tanya, the floor is yours.
All right, just a reminder that we are currently looking for nominees for 4 seats on the Board of Governance that will be expiring on June 30th. We have sent out announcements that we've received nominations for both the nonprofit sector and a formerly homeless representative. And of course, we welcome more, but we currently do not have any nominees for the public sector or private sector. And the specifics are here on screen. So just a reminder, we will be continuing to accept those by way of email at coc@rivco.org. And after June 2nd, we will be contacting individuals to confirm their willingness to accept the nomination with a formal ballot going out thereafter for all of our voting members, all of you, to submit your votes so that we can have all 4 new board members begin and join us for any Board of Governance meetings that come after the new fiscal year. Thank
Tanya,
you.
can you remind us, are any of the folks that are vacating their seats willing to run again?
Yes. So the only Dr. Charles Lee Johnson has committed to running again.
Okay. Madam Vice Chair, did you?
Yeah, just we want to share it with some other nonprofit providers and some of our other partners. I forgot, how many BOG meeting commitments are there in a 12-month period?
We meet every other month, so six a year.
And are they in person? And they're in person now, right?
Yeah. They are in person, and as I said, the 6, right? Just yeah, 6 a year. Sometimes we'll add a special meeting based on, funding deadlines and other requirements.
Any other comments or questions? I would encourage you guys, this is really important. You want to be thinking about making nominations and the caliber of people that could be nominated to be considered for this board. It's critical that we have a board of governance that is knowledgeable in these types of policies and experience. So, please make sure you think about if there are some people that you'd like to nominate. That would be great. Okay. No other comments or questions. We will move on to the next slide. Okay, we're going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. You can see the list of upcoming meetings right there. Don't forget that all of the documents that were discussed today and presented are in the Google Docs and available for your review. Just want to thank you all again for participating with us. We're at 4:42 and we still have 80 people. So happy to see the continued participation, and a big thank you to the staff who do all the work behind the scenes at the Office of Homeless Services in the county to bring all the logistics together to manage the continuum of care. You know that we appreciate you and your team, Ms. Tanya. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day and keep up the amazing work. We appreciate what you do out in the community across our 7,303 square mile county. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy, family. Have a nice day.